This was Tommy Blanton's car in '63. If you look at the rear fender, there's a long whip antenna on a spring mount that was popular with radio enthusiasts of the day. In the Chambliss trial, Baxley had a witness named Gertrude Glenn who had been visiting a relative in Birmingham and identified this car at the end of an alley that connected to the church, and identified Chambliss sitting in the car. And that was important evidence that convicted Chambliss. She put him in this car, which turned out to be Blanton's car, the night out of the bombing. So she was dead by the time we came home. This is Jean Casey. This was Tommy Blanton's off-and-on girlfriend in 1963. And she was supposed to have a date with Tommy that weekend, and and she was still alive. We interviewed her many times, and she never would tell us what happened. But she was Blanton's alibi, so she told the FBI that Blanton was with her the night of the bombing, so he couldn't have done it, which was a lie. When the FBI really, when Blanton thought the FBI was close to charging him, and he wasn't sure what Jean would say, he and Jean got married. So that, like I said, Tommy was an amateur lawyer, and so he had read about privilege, and so he thought if he and Jean were married, maybe the government could not make his wife testify. And so they stayed married, and then in '65 or so, they divorced. In '77, when Baxley opens up the investigation again, he and Jean get remarried. And after the Chambliss case is over, they get divorced again. Jean was married to somebody else when we were doing our investigation, but we would always have one of our, a woman lawyer who's actually a law student at Cumberland at the time, sat in on us on our interviews of Jean. We would ask Jean, go back. So Jean could tell you what she was wearing on her first date with Tommy Blanton. And so after that interview, our law student said, y'all never gonna break her. She still loves Tommy. She knows what she was wearing the first time they went out.
Is that right, Mark? Is that now on the federal prosecutor?
Yeah, so. But so Jean and Tommy were living, when they were married, they were living with Tommy's daddy. So this bombing happened September of '63. Everybody knows what happened November 22nd, '63. The President of the United States is assassinated. So the Klan was among the people suspected of the assassination of President Kennedy. So the FBI and the Justice Department considered it, national importance for a couple of reasons, not only the murder of children at the church, but also perhaps the murder of the president. Nowadays, we have authority under a statute to use electronic surveillance. You know, we can do wiretaps, tap phones if we get permission from the court under Title III. Back in 1963, there was no statute that allowed them to do that sort of thing. But the Justice Department, beginning with Thurgood Marshall when he was Attorney General, interpreted the law to permit the FBI to do what today we would call domestic surveillance, domestic spying. And so in 1964, the FBI noticed that Tommy Blanton's dad was advertising a room to rent, and so the FBI rented the room, and which was a detached room on the house where Tommy and Jean were living, and so and they didn't have a special agent because they figured the Klan knew all the special agents, but they had a technical employee of the FBI, rented the room, gave him a story about being a truck driver, which explained why he wasn't there very much. But he, the rented room shared a wall with the kitchen of the main house. So the FBI put a recording device into the wall where they could hear what was being said in the kitchen. Again, this was for purposes of national security. They never expected it to be used as evidence, and there wasn't any statute at the time that would have permitted it. And they recorded just boxes and boxes of tapes, most of which is useless. But there was one conversation recorded between Jean and Tommy Blanton right after Jean had been interviewed by the FBI, and Tommy was grilling her on what she had told the FBI, what they had asked her. And so she said, and we had the voice recording of this, where she says, well, you never bothered to tell me what you went to the river for, Tommy. Tommy said, what'd you tell them I did? What'd you tell them I did at the river? What did they ask you I did at the river? They asked me what you went for, and I told them I didn't know. Jean sort of has an attitude. And like I said, they were interested in that meeting they went to. I know I went to the meeting. What meeting? To the big one. What big? The meeting where we're playing the bomb. And we played this for Judge Garrett at a suppression hearing, so he could hear it. So when he hears this, he rocks back in his judge's chair like, oh, Tommy, what meeting are you talking about now? We had that meeting to make the bomb. I know that. I think I'll wear this and wear this shirt. It's what you were doing that Friday night when you stood me up. Making a bomb. Modern Sign Company. Yeah. I tell you what got me is when they told me that some people at Modern Sign Company said you weren't there. Said I wasn't there. Mm-hmm. Oh, well, that's, and you know, this, they have this on our transcript as Blanton. We sent this tape off to a audio person out in California, and to analyze and try to clean it up and make it better. And so we had sort of done a transcript and put names on it, and they called us back after a while and said, "Who's the third person on the tape?" We said, "Third person on the tape?" And so they said, based on their analysis, that this statement was not made by Blanton, but by a third voice. So we said, and we actually got Gene to listen to it and admit that it was a third person. So if they wanted to claim some sort of spousal privilege, they must do it.
Did she ever tell you who the third person was?
So this person says, "Oh, well, that's Gene, you don't learn anything with the FBI. Every breath they utter is a lie." I know, but I didn't know that then, and I didn't know whether to think you stood me up to go out with somebody else. That's the first thing that hit me. Well, you stood me up to go out with Willeen. That's what they want to do, make you mad. Well, we found Willeen, and this is Willeen, 63. She later joined the military after dealing with Tommy. And Tommy had stood up Gene to go out with Willeen on Friday night. But we had Willeen, and she was going out with Tommy at the same time Tommy was married to Gene. And so Willeen would talk about riding around with Tommy, and he would, just commit random acts of violence against black people. If there were a crowd of people standing on a corner, he would get a beer bottle and toss it out the car window at the crowd of people, or he would go into parking lots of grocery stores in neighborhoods that were predominantly African American, and just commit random acts of violence against their cars. And but Willeen also said that he talked a lot about the church bombing. Mitch Burns was a Klansman who was a member of not Eastview 513, but another Jefferson County clavern on the other side of the county. And but the FBI had talked to Mitch numerous times, and they were trying to see if Mitch would cooperate. He never would. And then one time the FBI agent happened to be driving down the highway and saw Mitch trying to catch a ride on the side of the highway, so he pulled over and picked up, gave Mitch a ride. I said, "Mitch, where you got to go?" He said, "Oh, I got to go to somewhere far away, like Gadsden or someplace." And so the agent said, "Well, how about I just give you a ride?" So he took Mitch to do his business in Gadsden, and then coming back, he pulled off the road for a while and said, "Mitch, I want to show you something." So the agent pulled out a manila folder, handed it over to Mitch, and had the morgue photos of the 4 little girls. And the agent said Mitch looked at it and was real quiet for a long time, and then said, "What do you want me to do?" And so Mitch became an FBI undercover. And they arranged a meeting between Mitch and Tommy, and Mitch became Tommy Blanton's best buddy in 64 and 65. And they would ride around drinking and chasing women, and all the while Mitch had a recorder in his trunk and recorded lots and lots of conversations. Curious thing about the way the FBI handles their files, they keep informant files separate from case investigation files. So I think we were pretty close to presenting it for indictment. We might have even already discovery obligations. You know, we had rooms and rooms full of stuff from this investigation in the 21, it was in the 21 building we've done. So we told one of our folks, y'all have got to scour this building, make sure there's not anything that we haven't, that you haven't shown us. So they went through it one more time, and they found this box of tapes. And so we said, well, what's this law with everything else? And we said, wait, we keep our informant files separate. See, what informant files? So it turns out the FBI had made a deal with Mitch in the 60s that they would pay him to spy on Tommy Blanton, but they promised they would never reveal that he had done that. So once we found the tapes, so this is them driving around drunk, and Blanton says, yeah, I'm going to stick to bombing churches. And Mitch says, bombing churches, huh? You mean you get more thrill out of that than you do from women? Blanton, hell yeah. You ever read that book? Talking about bombing these places, get a big thrill out of it. And then Blanton said, well, you can watch me all they want. They ain't gonna catch me when I bomb my next church. How'd you do that, Tom? Oh, it wasn't easy. All this time I thought you were a clean-cut American boy. I am clean-cut. Like a shooting, like a fishing, like a booming. So, we had that, but nobody would tell us who Mitch was, and nobody would tell us how to contact Mitch. So we had to go convince Janet Reno, who was the Attorney General of the United States, that we really, really needed to interview this person if they were around. And so they finally gave us permission to approach Mitch and ask him, pretty please, would you talk to us? And he finally agreed to do it. There was some money involved. But, so he wound up testifying against Blanton. And died a year later. But it was that was Blanton at the trial. We tried Blanton in Jefferson County Courthouse, the big courtroom in the county courthouse that has, you know, an upper balcony with a rail around it. I've seen it. This was the same courtroom that Baxley tried Chambliss in. So, plus we were state prosecutors, acting as state prosecutors under the authority of Bill Bryant. So it was really trying. Bobby Cherry had claimed to have be incompetent after we indicted him, and it took us. They had hired an expert, and the expert said he was incompetent. So Judge Garrett wound up sending him for extensive evaluation down to Taylor Hardin Secure Medical Facility. So they had him on observation 24/7 for about a year. And long story short, they wound up testifying that he was malingering, and they had video and all other evidence that they collected showing that he was faking his incompetence. So we tried him a year later in a different courtroom in the Criminal Justice Center County. One one thing that we had on Cherry had always been willing to talk to people, including his video conference during our grand jury, or his press conference during our grand jury investigation. But he had told the FBI in a written statement that he had been at the Modern Sign Company, which is the urban legend had always been that the bomb was made at the Modern Sign Company, which was just like 3 blocks away from the church. And that it had been assembled there and then taken to the church. And so Cherry had told the FBI that on Friday evening, September 13th, 63, I went to the Modern Sign Company on 3rd Avenue and North between 16th and 17th Street, run by Mr. Snow. At 5 p.m., people I recall coming in are Bob Chambliss, Tommy Blanton Jr., Frank Jones, other people. So Cherry had made a statement that put he and Chambliss and Blanton at the Modern Sign Company the Friday night before the bomb went off on Sunday morning. And that with some other testimony of Klansmen that were still alive got us close enough. We still never got anybody to tell us who did what, who made the bomb, who put it down, did it have a timer, and we never knew any of that, never knew any more than we knew from the FBI lab. But this guy is Michael Goins. He testified against Bobby Cherry at our trial. He had been the guy that had been working with Cherry laying carpet in Texas, and he testified that Cherry had told him he had done the bombing. Goins was, you see the oxygen tubes coming out of his nose. He was in pretty bad shape. He died within a year of the trial. This is Teresa Stacy. This is Bobby Cherry's granddaughter, who said that he had abused her when she was a child. But she testified that she had heard him bragging about doing the bombing. She had sort of grown up rough, been addicted to various different things, been a stripper, but had really cleaned up by the time she cleaned up, got married, had a baby. By the time she testified at this trial, it was very just matter of fact about her past life when cross-examined. And Judge Garrett said after the trial, he thought she was the best witness he had ever heard. She did come across really good. This was the audience during the Blanton trial in the big courtroom. These are family members of the girls that were killed. This is Ms. Alpha Robertson on the left-hand side of the screen. She died within a year of the trial. Then you may recognize Chris McNair, his wife, and is to his left, and one of their daughters who was born after Denise died. And then the lady in the orange top is Sarah Collins, who was the one survivor of the bombing, and some two sisters of hers. And then there's the other lady sitting to the left of Sarah Collins is a relative of Cynthia Wesley that we couldn't even find any relatives of Cynthia Wesley, but that's a doctor. Her name is, I forget her first name, but Dr. King just showed up in the middle of the trial saying, "Here y'all are having a trial." I was Cynthia's stepsister, so it was really lucky for us.
I've got to run, but I got a question for you.
Yeah.
Blanton and Cherry, how long did that, there you go.
So there was a
How long did they
local
live?
writer, McWhorter, Diane McWhorter, was working on a book of her recollections of growing up in Birmingham and her suspected connection of her father with the Ku Klux Klan. So she wrote a book called, she was working on it during our investigation, wound up winning a Pulitzer Prize called Carry Me Home. But she covered the trial for the New York Times. So this is one morning, somebody took a picture. She was showing me the front page of the New York Times, which had a photograph of our trial taken from that upper balcony. So she was saying, "You're on the front page of the New York Times, not the phone." I said, "Really?" So it's like, about the size of a pencil eraser, you can barely see who anybody is, but that's what I was looking at.
So how long did Cherry and Blanton live after the trials?
Blanton's still alive.
Really?
Yeah,
And he's still in jail, right?
still in jail.
Oh.
This is our trial team. You can tell by how young we looked that it was a while back. Bob Eddy on the left had been Bill Baxley's investigator.
That's Robin, right?
It was Robin as a law student. The guy in the light-colored suit is Bill Fleming. He was the FBI agent. Me, Doug, Robin. Next to Robin was Bill Fleming, who had started out as a Birmingham homicide investigator and then retired from Birmingham and went to work as an analyst with the FBI during our investigation. And Jeff Wallace was a state prosecutor who did the Blanton trial with us. That's it. Did I answer your question?
You did, yes. I was curious as to what happened to the two of them, and how long did Cherry live? Do you recall?
Not long. He might have lived 5 years or something.
Robert, step forward here, we have something for you. On behalf of the Shores-Vance in the court, I have a granite plaque and says, "In grateful appreciation, Arthur D. Shores, Robert S. Vance in the court, Birmingham, Alabama, American Ends of Court, Chapter 292. Thank you so much.
Right. Thank you.
Good presentation, and I'm going to put it up on the YouTube page.
I have